That was the panel on rebuilding after the zombie apocalypse. Now we're here with Bruce Montone, the fire chief here in the city of Windsor. Hi, Bruce.
How are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
I'm just great.
Okay, so I just have a couple of questions for you.
Sure.
So, number one, what's currently in place if a natural disaster happens here in Windsor?
Okay, so within Windsor, we have a community emergency disaster plan and program. So that includes public education, that includes processes for bringing decision makers together, and it includes 25 separate and distinct readiness plans for every most probable type of event that might occur in Windsor, from bad weather like a snowstorm to a flood as we just had, tornadoes, traffic problems, all kinds of different disasters or challenges that the city might face. We have plans in place to be able to manage that, working with all of our partners, both in terms of emergency response, but also, for example, public works with the city, recreation, social services. Every city department comes together under the plan to manage the incident and ensure public safety.
Okay. And number two, what can we expect from your talk today?
I'm hoping some fun and some laughs, but we're going to talk about how we're prepared, about building a grab-and-go kit, and how to be informed should an emergency occur.
Perfect. Thank you so much for talking to me, Bruce.
All right.
The next and final panel, Emergency Response, tells you how to prepare for any emergency, including a zombie outbreak.
Presentation I did about a half hour ago, which was talking about taking basically individual responsibility for your safety first, which means making a plan and having a plan and all of those things that are surrounded with making sure you, your family members, including pets, are thinking about and have discussed what are you going to do, even for, say, the top 10 most likely things to happen here in Windsor. So a weather event, for example, a flood, a traffic issue, a problem maybe at school, and what is it you're going to do should those most likely events happen. And believe it or not, it starts with simple things like having all the phone numbers that are necessary should something happen. So do you know, those of you who are in the room and maybe have small children, for example, who are in school, do you have the school phone number at the ready so that you can contact the school? Do you have your doctor's phone number should you require some medical advice? So on and so forth. In addition to that, of course, always keeping present of mind is 311, which is the city's way of providing you with absolutely any piece of information you might need to know about a city service or about what's happening relative to an emergency. You can get that information by calling 311. Even during an emergency, 311 is prepared to provide very basic advice in terms of what you need to do to protect you and your family members, friends, cohabitants of, say, a student's residence, for example, that kind of thing. Making a plan also includes, for those of you who live in a student residence, being aware of your surroundings. Is there a smoke alarm in place, for example, on every level of that particular residence that you're living in? so that early warning is present should a fire occur? Is there a carbon monoxide alarm on the property to make sure that you're alerted to a problem maybe with the furnace or anything else that would perhaps produce carbon monoxide? Do you have two ways out? It's another important thing to understand in terms of taking responsibility for your own safety, in terms of making a plan. Having a central meeting place. Don't forget your pets. All of those kinds of things. Building a kit was the second message that we delivered today, and that is a grab-and-go kit. So, when an emergency occurs, depending on the extent and degree of that emergency, we, in my case, Windsor Fire and Rescue Services, or police, or emergency medical services, may not be able to help you right away because there may be a requirement for our services that is more dire than your situation somewhere else in the city, may be associated with the same emergency. So you need to be prepared to take care of yourself for at least 72 hours. That means water, food, a radio so that you can become informed, an AM or FM radio, batteries for that radio, or if it's the crank type, that's even better, a flashlight, blankets, and on and on and on. Many, many things we discussed earlier today. So you've got to make a plan, you need to build a kit, and lastly, you need to become informed. And there are all kinds of ways that you can become informed and stay informed during an emergency. Your local AM or FM radio is one very good way. Television, if the systems are continuing to operate, is another awesome way to keep informed. We talked about social media. Fabulous way of moving information back and forth between people. The only thing I would caution you, as I mentioned in our presentation earlier, know the source. And I gave some local examples where in the past, for example, when we asked people to shelter in place, what went out on social media, unbeknownst to us, was an evacuation is underway. And what you need to do in terms of sheltering in place versus an evacuation are exact opposites. One says stay in place, hunker down, close all your doors and windows, turn off your furnace, your air conditioning, any fans or other ventilation systems, and stay in place. Evacuate, quite frankly, especially if it was a zombie apocalypse, would be run. And we don't want that to happen when we want you to stay in place. So know the source. The city will always use social media to communicate with you. The fire service, police service, and emergency medical services will also use social media. Make sure that the information is coming from reliable sources. Lastly, we talked about how the city is prepared. And the city has an emergency management program that includes an emergency management plan that deals with, first of all, preventing emergencies from occurring and educating the public in terms of what to do. Our plan includes response to those types of emergencies that might occur. And unlike what I've just suggested, that you be ready for the top 10 things, we're ready for the top 25 things that might happen in the city. And lastly, our emergency management program includes recovery. So how do we get the city and our residents back to normal life after an emergency? And so our emergency plan for the city that I'm responsible for coordinating includes those very specific parts. And after the other panel members have spoken. Be happy to answer whatever question you want to throw at me. Thank you.